to correctional centers and rehab homes here in Nigeria. I'm privileged to handle counseling sections for inmates. It's an opportunity for me to be able to give them platform to be able to, pour out their mind. It's also part of their therapeutic process for healing, as it were. Now, I had this opportunity of speaking to one particular inmate. He told me the story of his life, how he actually found himself in the prison. Now, given his account, he told me that he was raised by a father who was a cheat, who was a supplanter, who was into all manners of criminal activities that anybody could imagine, and that this particular father of his had two sons. He has an older brother, and this particular person I'm actually talking about. So he told me all of his story, and he ended up by saying that he became what he is, or who he is today, by the reason of the bad influence of his father. Now, while in that counseling section, I needed to know how this older brother of his had turned out. And he told me while he was going back the memory lane, the nostalgic journey of his childhood to adulthood, and how he found himself particularly in the prison. Need I let us know that he was actually nabbed as part of the 5-man gang who went to rob a particular woman, and the police overpowered them, and so he's in the correctional center for the crime of robbery, and he has actually been sentenced. He told me the story of his brother, and he said the brother is a medical doctor. Wow, a medical doctor. And I said, was the brother raised by a different family? He said no. Did the brother not grow up with them? Maybe he had a real opportunity in life to be mentored by a different family. He said no, that they all had their formative years together under their father. Now, it leads me to this exaltation today. Is what happened to these two people is called choice. The power of choice. One chose to model and pattern his life just the way he saw his father do, and the older brother must also have taken a decision about life by the reason of what he saw his father do, or what his father had become. The two were influenced by the same personality. One decided to take a positive energy out of a bad and a messy situation. The other chose to pattern and model his life just the way he saw it. It is called the power of choice. We all have to make decisions and choices at different times of our life. What is choice? An option of choosing between different possibilities. Simply put, a decision where you have to conclude or make up your mind on a certain particular area or a course of life among other options. Man is a choice being. We are wired at any point in our life to make decisions and choices. God is also the God that gives us choices. If you will remember in the scriptures, God said, "Today let the heavens and the earth bear it against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, that you may choose this day. But I will have you choose life, so that you can live and your children also." God gives us choices. God gives us the opportunity to decide and make decisions about the course of our life. He is not a God that leaves us with no options. I believe strongly that God does it so that every man will be able to take full responsibility of his actions and consequences of it. We are masters yet of that decision until we make it. The moment we make that choice, the moment we make that decision, then decision becomes our master. We are bound by the consequences of our decision, negative or positive, either way. A world without choice is a world without love. A world without choice is a world in servitude. But one thing is vitally expedient here, that our choices eventually make us and become the reality of our life. We need to be deliberate and intentional to know and be well informed about the decision we take, for the purpose of knowing that we bear the brunt of whatever decision we eventually make in life. Choice, the power of choice. What are the factors that may affect or that will affect our choices in life? Number one, prayer. Proverbs 3:5, scripture says that we should not lean upon our own understanding, that in all our ways we should acknowledge him, and that he will direct our paths. Man is essentially a spiritual being. For us to be able to know the right course of life or the right direction to go, wisdom only demands that we must get back to the one that made us originally. It is on the altar of prayer there is clarity. Decisions are made better. The mind of humans is open up to receive the signal that could enhance a positive decision that ultimately would determine how one will turn out. So prayer is number one. This is one of the factors, a major factor that can help us to make good choices in life. Number two, we need to be open up to counsel. Wisdom is key. Wisdom is a principal thing. There are persons in that facet of our life, in that area that we actually want to take that decision. There are people who have gone ahead. Wisdom demands that we submit ourselves to superior counsel to be able to guide us so that our margin of error will be minimal. Wisdom, our counseling or mentoring. Number three, another factor that could help us to make better choices in life is what I call knowledge. Knowledge. There is absolutely no area of life and endeavor that knowledge is not required. And to the extent of your knowledge vault, the extent of your knowledge base will ultimately determine the decision and the choices you make in life. Knowledge is strategic. Isaiah 33:6, he said, "Through wisdom and knowledge shall thy stability be." I say it for emphasis. True wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time. Knowledge is important. We need to open ourselves to knowledge. How do you contact knowledge? Studying. Study to show thyself approved. Scripture says that emphatically also. We must be open to knowledge. We must be open to reading. Take courses. Read materials. Rub mind with people within that particular study. It will help you to be able to make informed choices and decisions. Knowledge. Another factor that also can propel us to make better choices in life is our inner conviction. Now, it comes to a point in life when no one understands you. It comes to a point in life when it is only you that can understand what is happening on the inside of you. There comes to a point where you must be able to have your decision must be informed by your inner conviction. Scripture says that the spirit of man is the candlelight of Almighty. The spirit of man is the candlelight of Almighty, and thou shalt hear a word behind it. These are realities that informed your inner conviction that can propel your choices. Your inner conviction. You must be attentive and be alert to your inner conviction. It does help to make good choices. One of the things that I like for us to also understand as far as the power of choice is concerned, everything that violates the love of God, that violates the love of humans, and that violates our very self, it's a bad choice. Any decision on action that violates the love of God, that violates the love to humans, and that violates the love, our self-love, is a bad choice. So I would argue that you will be deliberate to make good choices in life. The choice of what we eat will determine our health and wellness. The choice of what to take into our mouths, the choice of whether we embrace aerobics and exercise as a way of life will ultimately determine our wellness in life. The choice of the spouse or who we eventually make up our mind to marry will determine the bliss or the crisis that you may have to cope with for the rest of your life. The choice of friends that you make, the choice of friends that you relate with, ultimately will determine the altitude to which you will go in life. Life is all about choices. And lastly, the choice of making your mind to have a relationship with God or not will also determine where you spend life in eternity and the reward that comes with it. Life is about choice. Our choice, when we have made it, determine the course of our life. We must be deliberate and intentional to know and get ourselves informed before we make our choices. I beg you this day, choose life, choose God, choose the path of good virtues of life so that your life ultimately would have meaning.